Well, I managed to get the skins laid up today. They're in the bags, and tomorrow I can cut webs and get those in, and then closeouts after that. So I really had wanted to video the entire inner skin layup, and I tried to do that, but I'm not sure why I lost like the end of the video. So I got the majority of it, and I cropped it or I clipped it a bunch because it was like an hour and 40 minutes long. So I just kind of like cut it up a bit. But here I'm wrapping up the core install, getting that in the bag, and then I'm going to get to cutting and cut all the fabrics for the rest of the build. So it's been, gosh, many years since I've built a glider or anything similar to this. Everything that I've built in the last 5 years, it's been virtually impossible to get the cores to stay put. And so I've gotten this habit where I bag the cores in separately, just to make sure they're where they need to be, and then I come back in with all of the rest of the skins. But right before as soon as I got this kind of stuck down, I realized that, hey, I could easily finish this skin out, but I didn't have everything cut for it. So I had to just go with it. I'll go over the details of what I did so far on this in a video. But once I realized that, I didn't want to do it on this one. So on this one, I have everything ready. I'm going to do the entire inner skin and spars and everything, caps and everything, all in one shot. And then after that's in the bag, I'll come back over here and I cut all of the rest of the stuff I need for this one as well. So goal for the day is to get both of these fully in the bag, skins complete. Here's the fabric. So this is what's left of the layup. So the outer skin right now is basically just this 1K on a bias in the tools. So we have some 9-ounce uni for our spar caps. We have some carbo weave. It's ultra high mod on a bias for the control surfaces. I have some hinge line stiffeners. This is 090. I think it's just standard carbon. I'm gonna throw it in there. 2 layers of that on the bottom side. And here's the hinges. I have all these doublers for the servos. And then these are spar caps for the center area. I have some wingtip doublers. This is all for the bottom. And then over here's the top. More wingtip doublers, servo doublers, control surface doublers, all the same stuff. So since I'm putting this in to stiffen up that hinge line, I was kind of thinking that it wouldn't hurt to put this high mod spread toe in here. It's super thin. I'm gonna put that on top of the rear spar. Since that's going under the rear spar, might as well just put a cap on it another cap on top. So I'm gonna put those 4 layers on top, just cause, and then the inner skin, the 1K there. So it's a bit of material, and this is a light one, right? I'm afraid to underdo it. I don't want to play in this like so floppy or light that I can't really fly it all that much. Yeah, so my basic concern here is that if I do build the plane too light, it may flex too much, and I'm not going to get any like really good feedback on how it's actually flying if it's doing funky things in the air, right? So I am aiming for the lighter side on this, but I don't want to underdo it and have it twisting and doing weird stuff. So this is the happy medium. So here's the start of this build video that I tried to take. I'm super lame at taking these for whatever reason. I think it's because I was barbecuing some food and had to go get, I may have grabbed my phone or something. I don't know what I did, but I was multitasking today for sure. You see me like kind of looking at those servo cutouts I did yesterday. I'd forgot to run those on the machine, and I hand cut them. And then just now when I'm like untaping this, I noticed that they weren't very sharp on the inside edges. So I had to sand that to like a feather edge on the insides of both of those first thing. And I'm trying to be delicate with these. They're hanging by a thread out by the wingtips, but fortunately I didn't break them at all. The next thing is I'll mask off just on the edge of where the spar lands. So my target is to leave about a 1/16 of an inch, no more than an 1/8 of an inch, of dry area that I can tack the cores down with CA right on the edge. And it's only every 6, 8, 10 inches or so, maybe every foot. It just depends on if the core's happy where it's sitting or if it needs a little tack to hold it down. There's thickened epoxy everywhere under the cores, except for right at that very, very little edge. And that's the method I like to do. If you roll the cores, whenever I roll cores, it just kills me how much epoxy they soak up. And I wanted to keep this light, so that's the way I do these. If I'm building a heavy one, I wouldn't even have cores in it anyway. But this method is still holds the cores down, but it doesn't add a bunch of weight in the cores. But it is critical that you leave enough adhesive on the surface to grab the cores, right? Because you put the cores in dry, and it's a little bit risky. So you definitely have to make sure you got a nice film there. That's just how I like to do it. And there's a small little clip I'm going to play after this that kind of shows, and the epoxy was green still, but it kind of shows how well that method holds the cores down, right? It's stronger than the core itself. Last time I did this, and usually when I do this, I mask off the entire surface where the spar lands, so I don't have any of that micro on the surface where I'm going to glue my spar caps down. And I didn't do that on this, but I should have. I'm sure it'll be fine, but it could have been better. So I'm just blowing this off. I'm getting every little bit of dust off. I'm rubbing it with my hand as I go. And you know how it's a bit risky using compressed air on this part, right? I mean, I'm spraying in the center and then off the edges, just so I don't, delam the part out of the tool. So I'm masking off here. Again, I'm just going tiny bit outside of my lines that I've marked using the template. I'm just trying to leave a small dry edge where I can just tack the edge of the core down with CA, and the CA is not going underneath the core. There's epoxy underneath the core everywhere, except for maybe like the last 1/16 of an inch or so. And then I could just tack that little chamfered thin edge down, and that's enough to hold it. And I'm primarily tacking it in places that I need to remove the little pieces that are keeping the core together. So I'll discuss that in a second. I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about, but I'm just getting set up here. So I've rolled this out already once, and I'm just going back with a little bit more. This is micro balloons and epoxy, and I'm just going back over it to make sure I have a thick film, an even film of epoxy to set the cores down on. So just drop this core down on that epoxy, getting gloved up, and I'm going to start tacking this in place. So I want to make sure it's tight, but you see here I'm double, triple checking that I'm centered on my servo bays, just to make sure, before I start gluing, everything's exactly where I want it to be. And then it's just a tiny amount of CA. There's not even enough to create like a bump. It's just a super thin amount. And then there's still all of those pieces of foam where the spar caps go that just to hold the cores together. So I make sure that I put a drop of CA on all, like just outside of all of these pieces that I'm cutting out there. That way the cores don't move once I remove those. So here I'm putting epoxy down on the plastic and trying to get a film of epoxy down before I set the 9-ounce uni on it. And then I'll roll some more epoxy on the top of that uni. And I can sit there and roll that uni for 5 minutes or however long it takes to get it wet out all the way. But if you get enough epoxy on there where it should be enough to saturate it, you can wait 5 minutes and it'll end up just wicking in there and wetting it out on its own, right? So instead of me sitting there and just rolling, it's quicker to get epoxy down, put these pieces on it, put some more epoxy on top, and then just keep getting all of my all my spar caps and everything I'm doing, except for like not fabric doublers, right? Because those will distort, but all the uni stuff or anything that won't fall apart, right? And so you can see I'm laying out all this different uni and just getting it wet, and then I'll come back to it and I'll start at the first pieces again, and I'll roll them a few times over, but I'm not just focusing on a few pieces at a time. I'll just put them all out there and get them all wet. And then I can just kind of pile them all in there once they're fully saturated. So here's the first cap I'm putting in, and I figured I would just leave these long. I'll let them run long. I know they're sitting on core, but I don't know. I just figured maybe it'll distribute the load a little bit instead of having it all go to that center point there. Probably doesn't matter, but I left them long. Some of the other ones I left a little bit long too, so they're running past the actual like joint. This is an experiment, and soon I'll be able to get some analysis done on this. We'll do a load case and get this thing. I'll be able to see like a heat map of where all the stress is, and it'll be fun. But I just, that I have to arrange that, and there was no time. I didn't want to just hold up this build waiting for that. I'll just, try my luck here. So this is new to me. There's also like a little different like a center spar area configuration that I wanted to do. I was running out of room because I wanted the spars to be in the thicker area of the wing, not way back at the trailing edge. So it took me a while to even get here, but you can imagine if there was another spar cap that went out basically from the aft center area of where these caps are now, and it shot out about 3/4 of the way span-wise towards that first flap servo. So there'd be like a whole nother web shooting off that way. Sorry, guys. I know I'm horrible at explaining some of this stuff sometimes. What I was trying to describe is in this illustration. It's the one on the right, how it has that extra web, going from 2 to 5. And that was what I was trying to do. This is a Boeing 757. This is the structure of how they lay those, how they make those. And notice that the wings are separated by a fuselage. And not only does that push the wings apart, it also, that fuselage has all kinds of Z height, right? So they can build a really tall spar in there. So when I was trying to lay this out, I was having trouble because when I was like right on my trailing edge, or close to it, and there was no thickness in my wing where the two rear spars met together. And so I had to keep adjusting like my flap cord and things like that to try to get that rear spar pushed a bit further forward than I originally started. So I ended up where I ended up, and this was kind of most of the inspiration that I had, and I think I got this from NASA website, and it gave me a little bit of an idea of what's going on. So from those illustrations that I just shared, the common theme was that the front and rear spar were both tying into a box where the fuselage is, and that's what kind of made me feel like I might need to put some spar caps on the rear spar. So that's what I did, and those spar caps that I'm putting on the rear spar, they tie into that rear web that I'm laying up right there in the video. So I'm wetting this area out so I can put those little spar caps in for the rear web, and you'll notice that I only have one on the plastic. So I pulled 4 pieces thinking, yeah, I'll put 4 in, but I should have grabbed 4 for the other side. So I ended up having to just split them apart and put 2 and 2. I guess I don't know. I could have grabbed 4 more, I suppose, but at the time I couldn't remember what I'd planned for. But yeah, I should have grabbed 4 more. But so anyway, I peeled them apart and put 2 on the left, 2 on the right. And here's a little section. I pulled this out of the bag green. This is that layup from earlier this morning, but you can see that core is totally stuck right there. But I should have masked off that entire, this is where the spar lands. But anyway, that was just to show you that, if you get the right amount of glue on there, they get stuck. So I'm pretty bummed I didn't get the last bit of these layups, or the top tool is the one I was trying to record, and I thought I had it, so when I went over to do the bottom one, I didn't even record it because I thought I had a good video of me doing the top. So we'll figure this out sooner or later, right? All right, well, I'll give you another update tomorrow when we start getting the webs cut.